All right, video 2 of Sociology and Coffee. Today, I just want to shout out to my best friend, Sade, who bought me this cup when I got my master's degree back in May. It says, "I teach, what's your superpower?" And so, yeah, at some point in my life when I was in graduate school, I didn't really know if teaching was going to be my thing. It definitely is a difficult path to walk. But I love what I do and I'm excited to grow. So I didn't know if I was going to do a video today, but I feel like there's a lot of things that are kind of weighing on me. I try to give myself breaks from talking about, Black death and all of the things that are happening right now in the world, in the United States, in Oceanside, and, wherever you are. Because it's just exhausting, right? And to have to live that and see that and breathe that as a Black woman, it's even more exhausting. There's this desire to try and make change. There's this desire to try and educate people. And kind of with all of that comes exhaustion, racial battle fatigue. But a lot of things are going on, and I'm definitely thinking about it, processing, trying to process, I guess. And so I figured, why not just make a video about it? And so kind of what's happened since my first video into today is that they have arrested a 17-year-old, Kyle Rittenhouse, for murdering 2 people and injuring another in Wisconsin. And he's, a white boy, 17, like I said. He was seen by police visibly walking around with an AR-15. It was obtained illegally. There's all this information kind of coming out that just shows, white men, white boys, even with weapons, are not a threat to police. They're not a threat. Police don't fear for their life when they see someone who looks like them or who even just looks white. So even non-white police officers don't necessarily fear white men armed, right? And then I can't help but think about Jacob Blake, who was just shot in the back 7 times by a police officer, is now paralyzed. There's, again, kind of more details rolling out of that story. But for even just, making a movement, right? Making a movement, there was no visible weapon. He did admit that he had a knife on him, but he wasn't walking around armed, in a very racially tense environment. So he showed up to these protests with the intent of doing what he did, and yet was given permission by the state through their lack of action to carry out what he did. And Black men, Black people, we can't respond. We can't reach for things. We can't turn around and walk away. We can't purchase a BB gun in a store. We can't play with a BB gun at the park. We can't do anything. We can't be sleeping in our houses without being viewed as a threat. But white men can walk around armed, threatening, a part of hate groups with the intent of doing what they're doing. And there's people, the part that I guess really gets me the most is there's people who don't see an issue with that. So I try and not read the comments on, these stories when they go viral, because people are just cruel, insensitive, ignorant. The list can go on all day, but I was, when I found out there was NBA and the baseball league and WNBA and people choosing not to play their games in support of, the protests happening right now, I went in and I started reading people's comments, right? And I don't know why I did it, but I did. And all you see is just like, I will never watch NBA again. They need to do their job and play the sport. That's what you get paid to do. And it's like, you're talking to a majority Black dominated sport, speaking basketball, like NBA specifically, and you expect them to choose to play for people and for a country that doesn't value them outside of the basketball court. You're expecting them to take off their blackness as they step on the court and just play for you like it's a circus act, like it's a modern day minstrel show. It's like these men, these people are still black, right? And they don't take that off when they walk on the court, or when they're living their everyday lives, or when they know that even one of them could also be the victim of police violence. Them being a basketball star, football star, is not going to matter in a heightened moment of racial tension between a black man and a police officer. It's just not. And so for people to sit there and expect them to just continue to do their job and play the sport and that's what you get paid for, and for people to expect, black folks to, we're not walking into work right now, but, to sit in meetings and talk about how to be an anti-racist and do all these things without the emotional part that comes with that, without the humanity, the acknowledgement of our humanity that comes with that. That's not supporting the movement. That's not supporting liberation. That's not supporting empowerment of black people in this country. We are allowed to be pissed off. We are allowed to compare Jacob Rittenhouse to Tamir Rice, who was murdered by the police for playing at a park with a BB gun. And Kyle, the 17-year-old white boy, gets to walk around, shoot 2 people, get away with it, somehow make it home. Drove out of state, right? And it's like, but y'all don't see a race problem. Y'all don't understand why black people are so pissed off, why we're fed up, why we don't want to have, this conversation every time it presents itself, because we're exhausted. And we have to go out into the world with black skin. I get some sort of look, and if you walk around in a melanated body, you know exactly what I mean when I say that. I get some sort of look from white women specifically every day. Every day. Unworthy, disgust, questioning, that's what we live with on an everyday basis. And so the fact that you are now able to kind of view that through, social media, and feel like you have something to say against that, or to like negate our emotions, negate the situation, you don't have a place. Like you are not allowed to tell us how to feel, how to react. You're not allowed to comment on what we do or how we respond to situations. And you don't have to assume that we're always going to be willing to engage in these conversations either, And so as you are looking at these things on social media and the news, we know it's kind of the same cycle of things that happens. Jacob Blake will soon be replaced by someone else. Someone else's name will be the one that we are hashtagging and, supporting. But on an everyday, something has got to change. Like, we are continuing to we're continuing to put money into police departments who are then turning around and killing our people, harming our children. Jacob Blake was shot in front of his kids. They are forever going to be traumatized and impacted by that. Their family is forever going to be changed. So something's got to happen. Something has to change. And if you're not with the most radical form, most revolutionary form of what we as a people want to do, whether that's defunding the police, dismantling prisons, abolishing prison, whatever it may be, if you're not for what we are for, we don't need you a part of the movement. We don't need your hashtags. We don't need your shares. We don't need your likes. We don't need any of that from you. Be true to who you are. Either you are support, either you are an anti-racist, or you are racist. There's no in between. Either you're fighting against the system to make change, or you are perpetuating the same problems that you are, attempting or pretending or performing to care about. And so I just felt that was necessary to say. Cheers.